It's crazy that this can turn into this. So what we call the pillar delete is a product that we sell. We have a template kit that goes all the way across here, and it doesn't make sense for a black Model Y or a Model 3. However, in a white car or a red car, it looks pretty awesome. It gives it a dome look. And as much as we want you to purchase our product, one of our key mission of what we're trying to do is really try to educate everybody in the Tesla community, the EV community, and the wrap community on how to do this. So let's get right into it. We're going to show you how to do the bulk install first. So in a pillar delete, what we realize is this pillar doesn't quite align with this mirror. So what we did in our template design is we have a little piece that kind of completes that look and kind of connects with the black right here. So that's what we're going to do. And the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is, I mean, it's going to be the template part, but if you didn't have the template, is to do it this way. All right, so it starts here, and then what I like to do is try to keep it straight. So that looks pretty solid. Always heat it up. Okay, so from here, all you need to do is just grab it and then just paste it. I'll go ahead and grab my squeegee right here. Boom. And then from here on out, I got my line right here. And there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and relief cut right here. And I wanna make sure that it is squeegeed properly. And then I'm gonna heat this area, this knifeless tape. Awesome. Once that's heated, you just lift that up, you hold it down, keep it low, and exit all the way. Cut it. I'm gonna go ahead and let this go. Make sure you post heat the edges right here. Boom. So once you get to this, start cutting a little bit of material. What you want to do is just release this real quick right here. And then this does just go over just a little bit. So the easiest way to do this is, one, I'm just going to cut it right here. I'm not cutting on the actual car, I'm just cutting the side of it. So from here on out, you're just going to tuck this in. Focus on that corner real quick. And we're going to be using some heat. And then you're going to go underneath that. And you'll see that cutting it is super easy. Just like that. So I got that cut nice and clean. And then before you cut, always before you cut, you want to make sure you heat. And one thing to keep in mind is I didn't have to stretch a lot at all. This is a pretty flat piece for the most part. I'm just going to use this groove. So sometimes what I like to do is I just use my nail. Be careful with your nail. It's a lot sharper than you think. And you want to get behind that. Go ahead and slide that blade, very, very small click. I'm not actually touching any part of the actual car. I'm just going to go all the way across. After we do this, I'm going to go ahead and heat it up. So in this case, I want to use this wrap stick. That is really tight. I'm just going to go all the way in, and you see how it tucks in really nice. What I like to do is I just open this door. Typically, I just pull it. Oops, that broke. Heat it up a little bit. What I like to do is just pull it into that corner, and I just use my fingers, and look how good that corner looks. And then I'm going to use my wrap stick again here. And now that we've done that, we are going to do this section. So I like roll it up, and as we're peeling the liner, we put it on the car. In this case, this pillar and the fender, the where it meets, it is so tight. Normally, if there's a bigger gap, what I would normally do, because I've seen some pretty big gaps, is I'll just put a knifeless tape across like this, if that makes sense. And then I'll have a little bit more material that comes out. That way it can really feed into that area, and then you won't see that white. In this case, honestly though, this thing protrudes out like that much. So I could probably feed that in and then just cut it right using this as a guideline right here. And it should be fine. It should hide everything else. I'm gonna just try to tape this rubber guard. That helps. So I just taped it so it's not hitting this. We're just going to get this started. And all you're going to be doing is just focusing on doing that. And we're not worried about placement right now. We're just trying to loosely put it on there. So when you do this process, one of the things that you want to keep in mind is when you're vinyl wrapping, things like this, when I just stretch it across, here, look what happens right here. It's wanting to kind of hug the edges over here when you stretch it this way. That's a pretty good starting stretch. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to anchor this right here first. Just going to use my fingers for now. And then from here, you're just going to pull it until you feel pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and start squeegeeing it out. And I'm really focusing on the bottom part. There's a line right here. I'm just focusing on the bottom right now. And then now that we have this bottom part done, this is where we're going to focus on the top. We're going to just hold it so that there's some air to escape. You could have used knifeless tape right here all the way through if you're uncomfortable trimming it. But the first step is we're going to go ahead and just pop it off, get it off the trim, and we're just going to tuck in. And you can use the soft part first. And you're feeding all that in. Awesome. So I'm going to be doing the same thing here, just popping it, and I'm going to just use my fingers at this point, just kind of really focusing on that corner right here. And then I'm going to use the squeegee to really push this down. Look at that. Look how much it's going in right there. I'm lifting it up because if it's stuck, it's creating that tension, right? So you want to feed that material in, and then we're going to cut it. So what I'm going to do is you do a J cut. This is a very important part, right? Like a little circle cut. If I have a straight cut like this, let me just show you. Like this, look at this. It just rips. Just like, boop, it just comes out real easy. But if you have a J cut, like a circular cut, this is going to be harder for this to rip. So that's kind of what you want to do with your cuts. We're going to be doing the same thing right here. There we go. So let's go ahead and go behind this. So during this cut, don't breathe. I'm just kidding. But the main thing is that I'm just resting this blade on that, and I'm not actually touching the paint, okay? So I got this, and you see I can just rip it away, just like that. And then I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out. And I'm gonna do this. That's enough. Okay, cool. And then while we're at it, we are just gonna go ahead and cut this. So once we're here, I'm gonna go ahead and just tuck all that in, and look at that. There's a lot of ways you could do this, but the main thing that you don't wanna do is cut this rubber seal. And what I'm gonna do is using my finger, I'm just gonna follow the line. This is pretty crazy, but just to show like how easy 3M 1080 cuts is, like I actually cut that with my nail. So I just kind of like glide it across. What I was trying to do actually was just kind of line it up with this, but apparently my nails work a lot better than my blades. Hey, if it works, it works. I haven't done that, but so again, just keep going all the way across, right? Honestly, at this point, you could even use your squeegee, and look at this. Just kind of, I like starting like this, and then you see I'm just kind of like pivoting it, and look how fast this goes. In this case, just open up your door. We're gonna go ahead and use some heat for that corner. You're gonna massage that corner in, just like that. Make sure there's no wrinkles. And then you can work your way across. We got the easy parts done. We got all this. Didn't take that long. You just go all the way throughout, all the way to the end. We're gonna go ahead and start tackling this. You just pre-stretch, and then you use your finger to kind of hook that. And then we're gonna heat it after we cold stretched it. And you can see it grabbing. And then once we are good with that corner, we're gonna go ahead and start feeding this material inside. So I'm gonna use my squeegee. Just go as deep as we can go into it. Nice. And then we'll feed that in. So you can see right here that now that I fed it in, and then I used that because I kind of saw how much is left. I cut it right here. I didn't touch any of the paint, the seal, or anything like that. And then we are solid. Okay. And then once we're good, we have to do the rest all the way across. And before we do that, I like to go roughly all the way up about to here, because starting from here to here, all the way to the end, there's not like a raised edge. You see how much raised it is from here? So you can't just cut it around the mirror. It'll be too short. And you're gonna have blue, like whatever color your car is just gonna show through. So I'm gonna go all the way here, which means I'm gonna focus on just cutting like that, maybe up to here. So I'm gonna use my knife again. Go ahead and just cut. There you go. That's it right here. So then from here, tuck in all the way through. Well, let's heat it. So if there is a stretch, it goes back. Awesome. So once I've heated it, I'm gonna create some tension. And the way I'm doing that is I'm just aligning it to this glass right here. There's not a heavy amount of tension. You just use the side part of the window, the glass, and have a very, very small blade, okay? Very, very small blade. Awesome. And then you're just going to pull away the pieces, boom. And then, get this, you grab the backing paper, and what you're wanting to do is just enter the backing paper like that. There you go. So what I've done is I put the slippery side of the backing paper, this is what it sticks to usually, and I put it inside of the rubber guard, okay? And once you do that, you could literally grab the squeegee and just tuck it in like that, right? And then you just kind of walk through here. And if this is harder, you could actually fold it in half so it's a little bit more rigid. There you go. And then you just continue. That's pretty much how you do it as far as the bulk. I mean, you do essentially the same thing all the way across. We're gonna post heat, get it on high heat. And pretty much you're gonna go all the way across, and if some areas are gonna be a problem, it will either bubble up or it will draw back. If you didn't do like heating before you cut, it'll come back in and you'll see where it's gonna fail. This is such an important step. So when you are doing this, just keep that in mind. Make sure you're solid. We are going to install our template kit, and I want to be fully transparent with you. What's the difference between it? I mean, the main thing is you don't have to have any blades, knives. We designed it in-house, and it just makes it easier. We designed it with do-yourself in mind, meaning we try to really design it in a way that makes it easy for anyone who has zero experience in wrapping, so they understand a lot quicker. So one of the key, I think, elements to this is it's in slits. So you can see it has a backing paper cut like this, and the reason why we do that is just far easier if you do it into sections instead of having a giant piece of adhesive And you get really frustrated, especially when you've never dealt with vinyl. It is a pretty long piece that goes all the way about 80 to 100 inches, and that's pretty long. So I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of loosely align this to make sure it's solid. This looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and peel now. Okay, and I'm gonna just align this. Again, loosely. And look at that. And then you're gonna go ahead and peel the next section. And just make sure that they're all aligned. And that is pretty much it. And that aligned perfectly with that side. And you're just gonna tuck it in. And from then on, use the same squeegee. I'm gonna try to use tools that we provide. We use this thing called Little Chitzler. That's the name of the tool. And then now that we have this piece, we are ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and do this part. And just like the other one, we are only gonna go about halfway, just so you guys know. So for this cut, let me explain this. These are like this because this is a pretty common technique in vinyl where you kind of get a corner like this and then it wraps around it and then it folds over and it gives a really, really nice clean corner. The other technique is what you saw me do earlier in the bulk where I kind of like stretch it across and then heat it. Typically, I can teach that part, but I felt like this is a lot easier for beginners to understand. So that's why I designed it like that. So essentially, you focus on that corner right here and then all the way across, and you're focusing down on the middle. And what you want to do is make sure that you're a little bit over that black, I mean, not all the way to this trim, but just right to that line right here, and then just a little bit past that so you can tuck in a little bit of material. So this one's the same thing. Everything is cut into slits like this. I'm gonna go ahead and peel, and then let's go ahead and focus on this right here. I got that. That looks really good. And then there you go. So you got a good amount of coverage right here. And look how nice that corner turned out. But I'm gonna go ahead and use my finger at this time. And I think this is the part where it bothers a lot of people, is that they kind of focus on everything. In our video, we actually tell you to do more of the bottom part first. Once you get to this edge, this is what a lot of people do, okay? Especially in the hot. I'm gonna just do it for demonstration. They grab this, it's hot outside, so the vinyl stretches like this, okay? What's happening over here, look at this. What happened over here, it stretched and it got thinner, and you just don't have enough material. And because this is a template, you can't do this, because if you do this, it's not gonna cover all the other area, right? So if that happens, I'll show you a trick. The thing about vinyl that's beautiful is you wanna put a low amount of tension, just hold it, and use some heat. It's gonna revert back its memory base, and then for a little bit, I will let it sit. And the reason why is if you keep pulling on it right now while it's still hot, it's gonna keep stretching, right? And that's how vinyl works. It can stretch like a very, very large amount. And if you saw our video about the mirror wrap, you saw that I was stretching the hell out of it all the way across to the other side to get that compound curve. In this case, this requires a lot less stretch. All you're doing here is just focusing on this line right here, right? And you're just going to be looking past, just a little bit past that line right here. So then once you get to that part, you can go ahead and peel the next section. And this is the same thing. If you have some wrinkles, that's okay. And I'm not stretching, I'm just creating some tension. And you're just gonna go all the way across, which is all the way across here. Awesome. And then lastly, again, this is a shortened version, right? So that's okay. Okay, So this is what's happening now, is that I'm just laying this down. And now we're going to use our squeegee, making sure that we got enough coverage. Okay, so remember, I just focus right in this bottom part right here, and that's it. So now that we have this, you can go ahead and squeegee up, right above the body line. And then work my way up. So essentially, we are ready to start tucking. Same thing, you want to heat it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and focus on that. My edge is done. This part's even easier. Just kind of go all the way through. And then, as you know, same thing. I have a little bit of material. I am going to go ahead and do all the way through. And then this one is so much easier because all you have to do as well. Look at that. Just goes down like that. No cutting, nothing. But you just go all the way in. Honestly, you could use the same technique that I showed you earlier. I'm just kind of getting under here, going all the way across. And once you get here, you can start. Boom. So all the way through, and you are set. The only challenge with that, with making this kit sometimes, you know, if I'm being honest, is that we're dealing with cars that aren't like always exactly the same, right? So you'll have some differences like this coming out, protruding, or having less space or anything. So we have to design with that in mind, which is challenging, but that's what we do. So we might add a little bit more material right there, incorporate the new technique that I mentioned about putting the backing paper and then squeegeeing that area. We might put a little bit more curvature. We're always listening. We're always trying to make our products better. If you've installed one of our Pillar Delete kits before, let us know in the comments below. It's going to help us continue to become a better creator, better company, and just we really take feedback very, very seriously. But if you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. Would love to hear it, and please leave us your feedback as well. And we'll see you next time.